Hello everybody, welcome to the Gyrocopter Flying Club. Remember to subscribe and select alerts for updates on the channel's content. This is part 26 of the history of the gyroplane. In this film we conclude our around the world gyroplane adventures with the remarkable tale of Norman Surplus, the first person to fly a gyroplane around the globe, although it did take 9 years.
You set off on that adventure not knowing what the outcome was going to be, but you had to remain positive in your thinking.
My name is Norman Surplus. I'm mid-40s. I'm proposing to fly this aircraft around the world. It's been about 5 years in the planning. This was after a period of cancer. Coming out the other end of that, I decided to have something different to challenge me, and this is the result.
The motivations for the trip were quite emotive because Norman was, and still is, in recovery from an advanced case of bowel cancer diagnosed in 2004. His prognosis had been only a 40% chance to live 18 months and wanted to prove there was life after cancer treatment and to give others with the same condition comfort and spirit whilst raising awareness and funds for Bowel Cancer UK. The challenge of circumnavigational flight had first been completed in 1924, taking 175 days, but in fixed-wing terms the challenge had largely been forgotten with the huge advancement in capability certainly post the Second World War. Rotary wing flight was slightly different, with the helicopter first flown around the world in 1982. The gyroplane, however, remained absent from those record books, and as we saw last time, Barry Jones's 2004 pioneering effort failed. The gyroplane record, therefore, was still to be written into the history books, and Norman's flight was going to be not only a rigorous physical challenge, but a careful planning exercise, not least because of the dreadful bureaucracy in some parts of the world.
Do 300 miles in a day as a day trip. Well, you just do that, and then the next day you do it again, the next day you do it again, you just carry on. And eventually you get around the world. It's the ultimate round trip, as it were.
You have to admire his casual nature, but when you look at some of the sea crossings in particular, you can't fail to realise the enormous challenge. This film can't hope to do the entire project justice, but hopefully it gives you recognition of the effort and motivates you to look more deeply into the story, and perhaps even buy Norman's forthcoming book. Starting in Larne, Northern Ireland in March 2010 and flown to England before crossing into mainland Europe, France, Italy, Greece and across the Mediterranean into Egypt by April, where we see Norman with Ahmed and Eddie Gould, who greatly assisted with the flight planning right around the world with their General Aviation Services Egypt company, which has helped numerous other long-distance GA aviators up to the present day. From Egypt through the Middle East, where the hazards were from sandstorms, and onwards into India, at which point Norman surpassed the distance record set previously by Barry Jones. In Thailand, the aircraft was ditched into a lake, giving Norman membership of the Goldfish Club, but aircraft repairs took 3 months. This enforced delay for repairs gives Matt Haydock from the USA the opportunity to become the third person to attempt a gyro circumnavigation. He flies successfully from Italy to Siam Reap in Cambodia, then crashes into a rice paddy field on climb out and suffers undercarriage damage. The aircraft is not repaired, however, thus ending his circumnavigation effort. Ironically, with the whole world to choose from, both of our aircraft end up situated only 200 miles apart at this point. Once repaired, the aircraft, with around 2 months of flying, 3 months repair, was left in the Philippines for almost a year before the effort restarted in July 2011. And it was once in Japan in July 2011 that Norman suffered a severe hold-up due to the lack of overflight permission from the Russians. With the diplomatic issues from the invasion of Crimea, it seemed the effort would be scuppered permanently, and in 2014 the aircraft was shipped to the Evergreen Aviation Museum, Oregon, USA, as the furthest flown gyroplane in history. In 2015 flying started again, and the daunting prospect of crossing the Atlantic to return home to Larne, Northern Ireland, which was achieved on the 11th of August 2015, and having set 19 world records. The story could have ended there, but for the efforts of James Ketchell, who planned to be the fourth person to attempt a circumnavigation, which had been made with help and advice from Norman and planning by Eddie Gould. With the Russians now cooperating and indeed allowing flight across the entire country, the plan for Norman was to finish his task, help and accompany James Ketchell whilst flying back to the USA and in the process effectively flying 1.5 times around the world, visiting 32 countries and covering 27,000 nautical miles. Golf Yankee Romeo Oscar X-ray has now been put onto static display as the first gyroplane to circumnavigate the globe in the main hall of the EAA Museum in Oshkosh, alongside the iconic 1930s Miss Champion. It's an incredible story, an incredible first. Norman Surplus, the first to fly a gyroplane around the world.